Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and the first episode of Tuber Tuesday. And today we're going to be going over Tim Pool's YouTube channels, which are Tim Pool, Subverse, and Timcast. 3 separate channels. Pretty much the same thing, kind of. He talks about stuff that's going on in the news, whether it be, political. It's mostly political, but it's usually topics that are not covered by mainstream media. So, that's one of the reasons why I like going and watching his stuff. The first channel we're going to look at is Tim Pool, which has 423,851 subscribers as of April 9th of 2019. And these are just some of the videos that he's posted recently. This channel usually gets one video a day at least, and you can see here he's got a pretty good variety of different things that he's been talking about. Most of the time it's politics. Here it's like online censorship backfiring against the Democrats, journalists expose media pushing far left lies. Here's one on Jesse Smollett, Rachel Maddow, Ocasio-Cortez. He's covered a bunch of different things. So in the About section on Tim Pool's first channel here, it says, Tim Pool brings you breaking news from around the world and commentary on top news topics in politics and cultural issues around the world. Stay tuned for live news, live streams, breaking stories every day, and new podcast episodes of The Culture War every Sunday at 4 p.m. And gives you some more things like that. We're also going to visit Timcast and Subverse today. These are some of the channels that I found very useful when you want to get somebody else's point of view that's different from yours. Tim, I believe, is a Democrat who tends to lean to the left. At least that's what he claims. But I've also heard people that are Democratic and that really lean to the left say he's more of a conservative type individual. If you want a well-rounded point of view from somebody who put some thought into it, at least, Tim is your guy.
There have been many stories where Facebook staffers reveal the platform is biased against conservatives. Now, on the surface, we get why this is bad. You're restricting access to public discourse for only one political faction, and that skews public discourse to the far left. But as we dig deeper, it seems like this might actually be backfiring on the left, or at least the Democratic Party, and may precipitate the Democratic Party's destruction. Recently, many of the top 2020 Democratic presidential hopefuls endorsed the Green New Deal, but the largest federation of labor unions denounced it. Where did that disconnect come from? It seems like as the discourse shifts to the far left, many in media start repeating these lies, and Democratic politicians, thinking it's true, repeat it, and this ostracizes the Democratic base, which, according to news stories from the New York Times and CNN, are actually fairly moderate and working class. It would seem like the Democrats are being manipulated into moving away from their own base. Today, let's take a look at the latest stories from the New York Times and CNN, which may show us censorship is actually backfiring on the Democrats. But before we get started, make sure you follow us over on our new channel, youtube.com/subversevideos. The goal of this channel is to essentially expand the brand, produce straightforward news, on-the-ground reporting, and expert interviews to cut through the spin and the bias to the best of our abilities. Now, if you want to support this video, just share it on social media to help spread the news. The New York Times published very interesting data today. This story: the Democratic electorate on Twitter is not the Democratic electorate in real life. A detailed look at the voters with the numbers to decide the 2020 Democratic nominee. In their first visual, they show us on social media, this is how Democrats behave. We can see that there's a very large group of blue-colored people, and they're saying things like stack the court, end the Electoral College, impeach Trump, etc. But a little bit more than half, it would seem, are gray. They're not really saying much at all.
So let's have a look at another channel by Tim called Subverse. Subverse has a subscriber count of 90,758 subscribers. Not as many videos, although he does, there are quite a few. I've checked out a couple of these, some of them are pretty funny, some of them, pretty generic. The description for Subverse says, new videos Monday through Thursday. Subscribe to keep up with our videos. It's just a different take. You can tell if you're on a Tim Pool channel, a Subverse channel, or a Tim Cash channel, just from the look of the video. And you'll see that throughout this video, the differences in what these ones are. As I was saying before, Subverse really doesn't have a whole lot of difference than what Tim Pool or Tim Cast has, other than, pretty much how he delivers the news. It's all the same thing.
It's pretty crazy when you think about how we're part of this first multi-generational population that has smart devices and social media playing such a huge role in our day-to-day lives. Who knows what effects all of this screen time and interconnectivity is going to have on society? So today, we're taking a look at some of the impacts screens and social media does have on society, from polarized political discourse on Twitter and controversial research on the impact of digital screens on teens. We're going to dive into the studies detailing the psychological implications of our increasingly online lifestyles. But before we do that, make sure you hop over to minds.com/subverse and join our distributed newsroom, a place where you can chat with other fans of our content, as well as send us messages and highlight information you think we should be covering in these videos. If you want to support this video, just share it on social media to help spread the news. Many of us have engaged in some kind of political discourse through social media. Twitter has become one of the top online spaces for observing or engaging in political conversation. While there's a spectrum of political opinions and how people voice them, a University of Missouri researcher found that social media may be artificially exaggerating right and left-wing polarization while dampening the voices of those in the middle. Michael Kearney, an assistant professor at the University of Missouri School of Journalism, found that partisan users form partisan networks on Twitter, while moderate users avoid politics, potentially creating a void on social media. According to the University of Missouri's news release, Kearney explained, "We are not necessarily getting farther and farther apart. It's just the people in the middle are becoming more quiet and withdrawn. If you fail to consider all the people in the middle who do not care about politics as much, it seems like there is a more clear division when there is not. So social media might be artificially creating the sense that we are becoming more polarized." Kearney's study, analyzing change in network polarization, was published in the journal New Media and Society.
They also have their own website. Okay, here's the website for minds.com. It's got the subtitle, the title up here, Subverse. Here you can join their website and pretty much stay in touch with them. It's kind of like, a Facebook page / thing, is where you can click on it and get videos, stuff like that. It's generally pretty easy to go through, generally newsworthy, I would say. Here is Tim Pool's third channel that we're looking at today, called Tim Cast, which has 335,099 subscribers. The Tim Cast channel uploads videos several times a day. As you can see here, these three were 3 hours ago. Here, 8 hours, 11 hours a day ago. This one, as you can see in the thumbnails, looks different than the thumbnails he's done before, but this is actually how these videos are presented. You got a video image of him down in the corner where he usually just visits some website, whether it be Twitter or the Daily News or New York Times. He visits websites and he talks about the stories that they're covering.
Need this news story to tell me this because I read the news. I should say, I read enough stories about Ocasio-Cortez thinking that accounting errors are money or that discounts are money to know that she is very likely financially illiterate. Not only that, her policy positions are pipe dreams. And that's not my opinion. That's literally what did Pelosi called it a green dream, the Green New Deal. Well, let's read what this investor means. Maybe there's something else here. An investor has labeled Ocasio-Cortez financially illiterate for her role in destroying the Amazon deal, which saw the retail giant pull out of New York. Tracy Maitland, president and chief investment officer of Advent Capital Management, was speaking at an Al Sharpton conference in the city where AOC had herself earlier unveiled a radical 2020 victory plan for Democrats. During a panel discussion, Maitland said, "The people campaigning against the Amazon campus are financially illiterate." He later told the New York Post, "This was a disgrace. I partially blame AOC for the loss of Amazon. She doesn't know what she doesn't know. That's scary." Slow clap. Let me make one thing clear. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez headlined a protest to shut down this event. Is that hard to understand? Now she goes on to claim it wasn't even in my district. I didn't do anything. Okay, come on. 4 million followers. You put out a tweet, you're doing something. And it's being noticed by even people who are speaking at the same event as her. We have to make sure she's better educated or vote her out of office. Woo! I agree. I don't live there, so I'm not going to vote for her, so, whatever. You guys do you. You guys, well, she exploited the system. That's a whole other story.
Tim Pool comes across as an open-minded, well-mannered individual. Every now and then, he'll slip and say a cuss word or two, but that's pretty rare. He isn't out there trying to push one side or one political aisle more than the other. He's got an open mind, and he pretty much is bringing you a story that you might not have read earlier in the day or found on your own. His take on things is kind of from a left point of view, but that's one of the things I do enjoy about Tim's videos is you get a different aspect, you get a different point of view than at least what I'm used to. I'd like to know if you've been to any of Tim Pool's channels, seen any of his videos. If you have, let me know what you've thought of them. And if you haven't, I suggest you try them out. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Share these videos. My channel is small and it needs all the help it can get. I hope you guys have a good evening. I can't wait till we meet again, which should be Thursday with a reaction video of some sort. And then Friday's video will be a movie review for Hellboy. So until then, see ya, bye.
Don't stop.
Hit the like button like this.
Stop.
And also the subscribe button like this. Peace.